Streamline your business processes with the Power Platform. Hi, my name's Andy Nathan. I'm a senior sales partner with Beyond Internet. I'm joined here today by Vijay Montani, who's our Microsoft 365 practice lead, and Abhishek Kushwa, who's our senior technical lead. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hi, Andy.
Thank you, Andy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi. Thank you both for joining, and also thank you everyone who's here as well for joining us. We're really excited to be able to have you with us here today and be able to share with you more about how to use the Power Platform to streamline your business processes. To help us get started, we just have to ask you a quick question ahead of time. We want to know, does your organization currently use the Power Platform? Let us know yes, no, or you're not sure. So I'm just going to give about 10-15 seconds for people to answer that. Just trying to get an idea of where people are at right now. So, okay. So mostly it looks like no and not sure. So, okay, that's fine. That's not a problem. It's good just to know where people are at right now before we get started. So I'm just gonna exit out of that poll. Part of this is that we want to get an idea where you're at today, so we know we're not going too far to advance. It seems like most people don't use it right now. And if you're not, this is a great way to get to discover how to get started. So with that today, we're going to cover 6 different items with the agenda today. The first thing we're going to cover as we talk today is going to be a brief introduction into who we are at Beyond Internet. Once we go through that, we're then going to dive into the Power Platform, the basics and benefits. And this is a great way, if you haven't been using it or you're not sure, or you're just starting to learn about Power Platform, we're going to go through this and show you what we're talking about here today and just go through all the terminology. Once we've done that, we're going to dive into 3 different business application use cases. And the idea here is that not just showing you what the Power Platform is, but how does it streamline your business operations? How does it streamline your business processes? And these application use cases will give you ideas of how you could do that for your organization. Fourth, once we've done that, we're then going to go through a Power Platform flow. And with the flow, we're then going to show you one example of how it could work for your organization. And the flow that we're going to use is going to lead into the application demo that we're going to provide you. And that application demo will be approximately 20 to 25 minutes. And with the application demo, we're going to go and show you step by step how it would work if you were looking at a sales organization, how they want to get more sales and how to identify different prospects and how to connect with those prospects and clients as well. Sixth, finally, we're going to do a Q&A session at the end. And I really do encourage you throughout this webinar, please ask questions. Let us know how we could help you out throughout this webinar. With that said, let's talk about number 1. Who are we? Beyond Internet is a division of Beyond Key. Beyond Key provides enterprise applications and extended team services, including mobile, AI, machine learning, business intelligence, modern data warehouse, React, Mean, and cloud services. We have 2 divisions underneath there, like I already mentioned. The first one is Beyond Internet, and that's the reason we're talking about Beyond Internet today, because Beyond Internet includes Microsoft 365 services and products, SharePoint, Power Platform, which we're focusing on today, Dynamics 365, and Azure. The other division is Beyond Voice. Beyond Voice provides voice text solutions, bot framework, voice transcription, NLP, and behavioral analysis. As an organization, we have a team of over 215 strong and growing. With over 15 plus years of software development and solution experience, we have the honor of working with over 200 plus clients around the world on an ongoing basis. For Beyond Internet specifically, we're recognized globally as one of the top 5 add-in providers on the Microsoft App Stores. And we provide Microsoft 365, SharePoint, and Power Platform services, as we mentioned earlier. We work with companies in the nonprofit, healthcare, logistics, finance, automotive, real estate, manufacturing, insurance, construction, energy, facility management, and retail industries, just to name a few. We're a Microsoft Gold partner with capabilities in application development, application integration, and data analytics. We're also a Microsoft Silver partner with capabilities in data platform and data center. We're certified for the 2nd year in a row as a great place to work. Furthermore, we had the honor of winning 3 different awards this year First, we won the 2021 Stevie Awards for their International Business Awards as Company of the Year. We also won the Titan 2021 Gold Awards for IT Service Provider of the Year. And finally, we won the Best in Biz Most Customer-Friendly Company of the Year. I mentioned earlier that we work with over 200 companies on an ongoing basis. Here are just some of the companies we work with right now. One of the other things I mentioned earlier in this webinar was that the best way for us to help you is to ask questions. And I really do encourage you to use the Zoom Q&A, especially as we're about to dive into Power Platform and explore what it is and how it works. If you have questions, whether it's clarifying a technical issue, whether you just have some questions about how to use it and how to apply what we're talking about to your organization, please ask. That's why we're here. We want to make sure you get the most out of this webinar. Furthermore, what we do throughout the webinar, Abhishek and Vijay will be answering questions as we go through the webinar. Then at the end of the webinar, we also repeat those questions as well. And we do this for two reasons. First, we know that some people learn in different styles. So you might find that seeing it visually with a written answer is better, while other people might find that having a verbal answer is better for them. Whatever style works for you, we want to make sure we accommodate that. Secondly, we also discovered that if you have a question, it's very possible other people have a similar question as well. So with that, we want to make sure we're addressing everyone's questions at the same time. So with that, one more thing before we get started. If you do have a question about your company, we also believe in respecting your privacy. So we will not share any company or personal information when we answer the questions. With that said, let's get started with number 2. What is the Power Platform? Let's talk about the basics and benefits. To start with the Power Platform, we take a look at what Microsoft's Satya Nadella, the CEO at Microsoft, said at the Inspire 2019 conference. He said, "We've come together to help every business become great at digital technology. That means we need to help them adopt the latest and greatest as fast as they can. And the way that they've decided to do this is through the Power Platform. What the Power Platform is it's 4 different tools. You have PowerApps, Power Automate, Power BI, and Virtual Agent. As you can see here from this graphic, the main 3 that we're going to focus on today are PowerApps, Power Automate, and Power BI. Virtual Agent, which is a great tool to help you with chatbots, is not something we're going to be focusing on as much today, but if you are interested in it, let us know. We can definitely help you with that as well. The reason why we love the Power Platform is because it helps create citizen developers. Think about a traditional application. Someone wants to create an application, they go to a developer, and maybe they spend $50,000 or $100,000. That's a lot of money to spend on an application they're not even sure will work. With the Power Apps, what you can do is you can create applications yourself, because you don't have to have an IT degree. You don't have to have a PhD in computer science. So this allows citizen developers to create applications and also be able to automate those processes and also use this for business intelligence as well. Now, keep in mind, this is a low code, not a no code system, and we'll talk about that in a second. But what this is doing with Microsoft is it's giving people the ability to use these tools to help act, automate, and analyze their data. And that's really at the forefront of everything that's going on here. There's so much data going on right now. In the last 4 years alone, we've created 90% of all data ever created in the history of humankind. That's a lot. Think about all the books, all the movies, all the music that's been created throughout human history. And in the last 4 years, we've created more text, more data, more information than was ever created before. We are streaming in a series of data, and the ability for companies to succeed today is their ability to use that data effectively. And that's what the Power Platform helps organizations do. Now, the Power Platform has a number of features that will help with this. So I mentioned just a few seconds ago how this is a low code tool. You don't have to be a computer scientist. You don't have to be a developer to be able to use the Power Platform. That said, there is some coding that's involved in the Power Platform because they just want to make sure there's coding the information correctly. So if you have trouble with that, that's something just to be aware of. The other thing is that there's a lot of mobile capabilities of Power Platform, especially when you talk about Power Apps. You could use these on your mobile devices That's one of the things that makes it such a great tool, because you could use this wherever you're at, especially when we start going into the sales demo later. We'll show you how they could fill out an application form on their mobile devices, so you can do it wherever you're at. In addition to that, keep in mind, the Power Platform is not for commercial use. So when we talk about the Power Platform, Power Automate, and Power BI, especially with the application features on PowerApps, you're not able to sell this like an application like you would on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. It's mostly for internal audiences. The one exception to that, and this is the really cool part about this, is the PowerApps portal. And the PowerApps portal allows you to have a sign-in sheet form. So like you can start allowing people like customers or third-party vendors to start integrating with the PowerApps that you create and the Power Platforms that you create. The other thing that we mentioned here, and this is the key part of this, it integrates with your data. Whatever tools you're using, there's a data burst that allows you to connect this information to these different tools, whether you're using Power BI, Automate, or PowerApps. So the next thing we want to just talk about before we get too much further into why you would want to use it is how would you use this as part of Microsoft. Now, a lot of people on this call are probably already using some type of Office 365 or Microsoft 365 license. So the great news is that if you have an enterprise level license, like an E1, E2, E3, or E5, you already have this included in a lot of your tools. The one exception for as you can see here, for the Office 365 is E3. Power BI is an add-on. It's not directly included in the license. That said, if you also have the Microsoft 365 Business Basics, Standard, or Premium, you also get these tools included in there. So if you're using other things like Office, PowerPoint, which we're using right now, Excel, and all the other Outlook, and all the other tools that you normally use with Office 365, you do have the ability to use this as well. In addition to that, though, if you don't use Microsoft 365 right now, or you don't have a license right now, you could still get the licenses right now with their standalone license. So if you only need PowerApps or Power Automate or Power BI, there are standalone licenses for each of these tools. So let's start talking now about what are the benefits? Why are we going to start using the Power Platform? We talked earlier about how society is changing with data. And we have to understand a lot of this starts with the applications that are being used. In fact, by the end of next year, 2022, there will be 285 billion downloads that have been applications downloaded in the United States. That is huge. You think about the amount of downloads and the fact there's only 8 billion people in the world, then you're looking at how many downloads are happening. We're starting to download a lot more applications, and this number is increasing. At the same time, we're seeing a lot of businesses are looking to automate more of their functions because they realize that if they want to stay competitive, they need to automate those functions. So right now, 31% of organizations have fully automated, I should say, not just like partially automated, but they've fully automated at least one or more functions in their organization. So if you really want to be in the top 5, 10%, or 20% of organizations, you need to start automating your operations. And this is where the Power Platform can definitely help you. Finally, let's talk about the data directly. Data volume has had an annual increase between 2018 and the last 3-4 years, and then 2025, you're talking about a 61% annual increase in data created. I mentioned earlier how 90% of all data has been created in the last 4 years alone. When you add that fact that we're still increasing that number, and we're not even begun to scratch the surface of how much data we can create, we realize that you need to have a better way of using that data. And this is where the Power Platform becomes so effective, because it improves your business processes, because it can handle all of that data. Whether you're acting on the data using the Power Apps and actually creating data by having it, either whether you're filling out forms or you're using some of the OCR capabilities, whether you're going into Power Automate and you want to start automating some of those processes where you can start automating and you don't have to have people handling every single step of that, because it's impossible to be able to manage all of that data manually with enough people. And finally, you could also make sure that you're helping executives make educated decisions because you could visualize the data that's being handled. So think about the data that comes in. If you have spreadsheets, and if you listened to me on previous webinars talking about Power BI, talk about the spreadsheet hell. There is a lot of information that comes through with data. And if you have a better ability to read that information than going through lines and lines and lines of spreadsheets, the Power BI tools gives you the ability to make those educated decisions. Finally, the reason why the Power Platform is so effective is because of the fact that you have these tools that are available, but it's a unified business solution, but at the same time, it's flexible to whatever you're looking to do. And this is one of the keys to using the Power Platform. You don't have to do exactly what we're showing you here today. You don't have to do exactly what they've said or here's what they've done in the past. If your organization has set processes and systems in place, the technology in the Power Platform is designed to fit around those processes and systems. That's the challenge with previous technologies. A lot of older technologies, they say, here's the technology, now fit your processes and systems around that technology. And that just doesn't work for a lot of people. They need to have technology that fits around their processes and systems so they can be more effective. And the Power Platform helps with that. So I've gone through a few of the benefits here. I thought I'd just take a quick pause. I want to get an idea of how you feel the Power Platform can benefit your organization. So let me know. I mean, you can answer multiple. This is not a one or none type answer, but how do you feel the Power Platform would help your organization? Is it improving your business processes, automating your business processes, helping you with making educated decisions, or the fact that it's a flexible solution? I'm just curious to see what people are interested in. I'm going to give another 10, 20 seconds to that. So I see people are still answering that. Okay, wow. Okay, I see we have a number of different things here. A lot of people are filling out pretty much a lot of the answers here. So I'm going to end the poll because it looks like people have stopped answering. But it looks like from what I could see here, I'm just going to share this because we had a few people who filled it out. A lot of people are filling out information here, but basically 83% of people thought that it's helpful for automating their processes, making executive decisions. So those are the clear two winners, and that's great because we're going to focus a lot on automation and with executive decision making when we go through here. The flexible solutions and improved business processes came in second and third respectively. Okay, great. So with that, I see that we have, so as we continue to talk about this, and I see people are still coming in. So if you are coming in, as we talk about the Power Platform, keep in mind, we're going to be basing everything that we're talking about on those 4 different tools. So as we continue to go in here now, I want to start talking about how these different tools, shifting over here, the different use cases of how you could use this in your organization. So with that, let's say the first use case that we have here is for an insurance company in Florida. And this insurance company wants to integrate multiple HR tools. Now, the challenge that they were having was they needed to understand employee growth and the best way to develop insurance agents. So you think about an insurance company, a lot of their growth is based on the people that are working for them. So if you're taking a look at an organization and it is an insurance company and you want to grow, you might have 100 insurance agents now. And maybe if you want to double your growth, you need 200 insurance agents. Well, to do that, you need to understand what you've done in the past and how you can improve upon that moving forward. So to help them with this, we integrated a Power BI and Power Automation solution, or a Power Automate solution that integrated with their HRM tools and their HRIS tools. Those are their HR tools for their management and information systems. And by doing this, we were able to predict their growth rate. So you take a look here, starting at the information here, you could see this is their information over time. And this goes back 30, 40 years. So the great thing is you could see, look, in the 70s and 80s, and even into the 90s, you were having 1, 2 people, maybe 3 people that were being added every year. However, in the last 5 to 10 years, you could see you're adding about 10 to 20 people on average every year. And obviously 2019 was the outlier. There were 32 people added. But if we understand that, maybe that means, hey, we added 11 people in 2021. Maybe in 2022, we could add 15 or 20 people. And, at the same time, we also, the biggest issue here is it's not just about adding new people. You don't want to just get bodies in the door. You want to get solid salespeople who could be able to help your organization. So how do you retain those agents? And using these type of tools, you can start studying the best way to retain them. Finally, the greatest thing about this is the fact that you can automate reports with your HRM and HRIS tools. So that way, if you want to be able to send stuff out to managers and let them know what's going on, you could share that information with them so everyone could be updated on what's going on in the organization. The second use case that we have is for a nonprofit in Australia. And with this nonprofit, they wanted to get a 360-degree view of the organization because they're having a lot of departmental silos. And this happens a lot of organizations as they grow. They struggle because of the fact that they don't have a combined view of the entire operations because all the departments want to keep information to themselves. So to help with this, we combined multiple tools and data that each department had to help improve the organization's performance. And what we did was we set up a Microsoft solution that connected the data from these multiple departments to Power Automate and Power BI. The benefit here was that we understood how the data flowed across the organization. And at the same time, we were able to automate the reporting numbers sent to the different department heads. So not only did we get better information, but we also be able to automate the process of sending that to the different department heads. So the people who maybe were creating the silos got the information across the board so they could start working together as a whole, as a cohesive organization. The third and final use case that we're going to talk about here today is the sales demo. And this is the sales demo we're going to show you in about 2 or 3 minutes. And the great thing about this is that we're going to show you how to go from tracking the sales process to better understanding your prospects and understanding how to find more of those prospects in the future. So in this case, we had a company that was looking to identify who is their target prospect. They needed help with this. And the better they could identify those target prospects, the more they could grow their business. What we did was we created a Power Platform solution that would track sales data from PowerApps onto Power BI. So you can see here on the right-hand side, there's a sales entry form, and we'll show you what this looks like in the demo. And you could fill out information about different, there's different fields, like there's the job titles or job functions, departments, the country, the product, the sales date. All this information is right there. And it's easy for a sales rep to fill out this information. And by doing this, they're able to determine who are they working with and who in the organization. And they could also see, hey, wait, it looks like there's a trend here. We're working with a lot of vice presidents. Maybe if we focus on working with vice presidents, we'll get better results. At the same time, the organization was able to track those sales demographics as well. So they knew what was working and what wasn't working across the board. So they can maybe say, look, vice presidents might work for you, but directors and CXOs or CEOs are working for other people in the organization. Keep that in mind. At the same time, we also added a cool little function in there to streamline receipts that we could send to clients. So if clients said, hey, well, how much did we spend on this? Can you please send us a receipt? We need this for tracking. We also have a nice little automated feature that's directly tied into Power BI that automates that process. But we created this in Power Automate. So this process was used all together to help this organization with their sales. So this is an example of how to prove the sales process using the Power Platform. This isn't the only way you need to do this, but this is a great way to show you how it can be done for your organization. So in this case, we start the sales flow demo with the PowerApps form. Again, an agent fills out the information. They're working with Mr. Joe, and Mr. Joe is an executive at a manufacturing company. They fill out the information. Now, remember, if you're one sales rep, maybe you get 5 sales every month. That's great, but it's not a lot of data. So you think about the fact that you're tracking 5 sales across the month, then it's not as much work to do. But if you're an organization and maybe you have 10 sales reps and each sales rep is getting 5 sales, that's 50 sales. Now, if you're trying to get demographic information on all these sales, maybe you have 10 to 15 fields, 50 sales every month times 10 fields, that's 500 pieces of information that you have to track. Over the course of the year, that's 6,000 different fields. And this is where, again, the data becomes a lot more complex. And this is also where you want to start turning that data into sales reporting information using data visualization through Power BI. And Power BI is really great at taking all these little bits and pieces of data and converting them into charts and graphs. And we'll show that to you in a few minutes when we go into the demo itself. At the same time, you want to be able to use this information to not only get sales information, but you also want to connect to your clients. So one of the features that we added in here into the sales flow demo was a way to actually send receipts to clients. So if you need to send a receipt to a client, you could do it directly through Power BI, and you could automate that email flow. And by using that, you can send email receipts to them, and they could get that information directly through the organization. You could also use that at the same point to use Power Automate to send reports to your to your sales managers and to your sales reps as well. But we could show that to you at a later time. With that said, we've gone through a lot of different items here. I'm going to switch over and take us out of PowerPoint, and we're going to go directly into the demo itself. So we have 3 different tabs here that are open. The first one is for the PowerApps, and this is the one we created for a solar product company. And then that information leads into the sales reports that you could see here on Power BI. Now, this is all, by the way, on the cloud. At the same time, we also have a third tab here that's open, and that third tab is for Power Automate. And one of the things you notice here, there's a receipt on mail here, and the receipt on mail can be created directly from Power Automate. So again, all 3 of these tools work together for create a more cohesive whole. So the first thing that we see here is we're going to go into PowerApps. So in this, there's a solar product compartment here, and you can either create new entries or you could update current entries. And by the way, if you do want to make changes here, so let's say I don't like the color here or the border, I could start making changes to the color. I could do more advanced ideas as well. You could start customizing this the way you wanted. We created a basic system here, but this just gives you an idea of what it can look like. Once I want to go to the preview side, this is the front end. This is something that we're talking about in terms of this solar products form that we created. This from PowerApps. This is something that your sales reps would do. So take a look at this from the perspective from a sales rep. They're going to go in and they're going to fill out information about a customer. So let's say the customer's name was Robert Anderson. And I'm going to send this to Sohan. I'm going to send this to, actually, so then we're also going to send it to beyondkey.com. And let's say Robert was in government. He was a vice president. And by the way, this is where the designations can come in. You could also do this by segment. You can see here, government, channel partners, enterprise, mid-market, small business. So we're separating it, taking a look at all the different fields and all the bits of information that are coming through here. For a salesperson to do this, it's pretty simple. They already work with them. They know a lot of information about the customer. So they could probably fill this out in 3 to 5 minutes. They also want to figure out what department they're in. So maybe they're in human resources, and then where are they located? So let's say they're located in Germany. We could also take a look at the product that they bought. In this case, they bought, let's just say, there's different solar products here. Let's say they bought a solar flashlight. So when did they buy it? So they bought it at $150. Oh, sounds good. And then we could also talk about what the sales price is. So we could say that the sales price was $100 per unit, and we sold 7 units. So at this point, what I could do is I could submit this information. And now remember, I'm looking at this as a sales rep. I then submit the information. Now, if I were to then go into Power, if I were going to Power BI, I could see this information. We already pre-filled out the information here, but you could see here that this is all the information that about the sales reporting for the information. And there's information about Robert Anderson here as well with the solar flashlights. Now I'm looking at this sales report. I would be looking at this more as like an executive or a sales manager. But let's say I want to take a look and I want to get an understanding of our sales. So maybe I want to go back and I want to see, well, how did we do in terms of sales in 2019? I could also take a look because let's say we didn't have the information for that long in 2019. So you might have only had the software for a few months, but I could take a look at the different months as well if I wanted to. I could also break this down and take a look to see what we did this year, last year. And you can see the total sales up here, the costs of the sales, the total gross sales, it's all up here. In addition to that, maybe I want to break things down by country. So I'm here in the United States. I want to know how our sales did in the United States. Because to me, if I'm a sales manager, or even if I'm a sales rep, I need to know how to sell people in the United States, and I need to know who our ideal audience is. So one of the things I notice here is that, hey, look at this. I'm sorry, when I go over it highlights the exact number, but you can see here research and development. It had actually more sales in the United States than services. And second to that were training and support. So if I compare that, maybe I want to see what sales look like in Canada. Okay, great. Services is first here, which is part of the reason why they're probably first across the company. But you could see here, what are the different sales by departments? What are the different segments that are happening? You can see here that the numbers changed. So if I look at the United States, there's actually more sales in small business than there is in government. But in Canada, when I take a look, there's actually more sales. I'm sorry, actually it's still more small business than government. But as an organization over the whole, across the world, there's actually more sales for government. So this gives me an idea of where things are happening in the organization. In addition to that, if I start scrolling down here, see when I click on the United States, the designations change. It gives me an idea of, hey, how many CXOs do we sell to? And I mentioned this earlier. So maybe if you're a sales rep, you're thinking, well, I only sell to vice presidents. That's probably what other people are doing. And I'm here in the United States. But it turns out that most of the people are selling to CXOs and directors. And, but if I was in Canada, however, maybe it makes more sense to sell to vice presidents because that looks like it's a more of an untapped market. And this gives you an idea across the board. In addition to that, you also have information here about different people that you're selling to. So if I want to go back and I want to take a look at globally, I could start getting a bigger picture of what's happening around the world. But if I want to drill down on different targets for different industries and different segments, departments, sales or job titles and designations, I could do that as well. And this is the power of using Power BI. You're taking all those little data points that come from this simple little form here, and you're turning it into valuable information to understand the demographics for the organization. So with that, I'm going to flip to the third tool, which is Power Automate. And you can see here in Power Automate, there's a thing here that says once Power BI button is clicked, it automatically sends an email or an email notification out to the respective people. And what that is very simply saying is we created a flow here on Power Automate that where if I want to reach out to Robert Anderson, I click on Robert Anderson, I click on receipt on mail or receipt on Teams. And all it does is I click on that. You see where it says triggering right now? It's actually triggering an email, sending a receipt to them. So what that would look like, and sorry, I got a few more emails since this came in. What that looks like is something like this. Now, this is an example that was sent over to me earlier, but it gives you an idea of what that receipt would look like when the client receives it. So we have solar water heater. What's the total amount? Also, this is a great opportunity to connect with clients and let them know that you could still help them. So if I want to change this email, I could change this email in Power Automate. And maybe instead of thanks for using the solar water heater, this is an invoice for your recent purchase. I could say, let us know how we could be a service. We want to make sure you get the most out of it. Or here's a collection of videos on how to get more out of your solar water heater. Also, hey, if you have a friend who needs a solar water heater, let us know. We can give you a discount for referring them to you. This is a great way of building up your business by using this information. And it's all connected here through Power Automate, Power BI, and Power Apps. And keep in mind that if you want to set this up a little bit differently to fit your processes and your systems, you definitely can. This is just one example of what you can do with the service. And by the way, when I clicked on Robert Anderson, notice how all the information now just shows his information and where he's located. So it specifies it can really granularly look at information to see exactly who we're targeting. So with that, I'm gonna head back. So thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you got a lot out of this webinar presentation, and we hope to see you on future webinars. This is our last webinar for 2021. We will have some more coming up in 2022, and once we do know that, we'll send you an email with the upcoming schedule. But thank you again for joining us here today. Have a great day and have a better end of the year and better 2022. Thank you.